De uns tempos pra cá, Hollywood tem se apegado muito ao divã, e nenhuma comédia romântica recente é tão psicoanalítica quanto A Grande Viagem da Sua Vida. A estreia da semana em que a Margot Robbie e o Colin Farrell vivem dois solteiros que se conhecem e magicamente ganham acesso a portas que os levam para momentos cruciais do passado, que são traumas que os fizeram desenvolver os bloqueios emocionais que os afastam de bons relacionamentos amorosos hoje. Eu falei com os dois protagonistas sobre a construção da intimidade necessária para essa história charmosa e o quão terapêutico pode ser o simples ato de atuar. Confira.
About the movie, this is a tremendously whimsical, joyful, light story. So what was it like to get into this very joyful headspace as actors?
It was whimsical and joyful and
Yeah, it was
lovely.
lovely.
All the things that you just described. That was the making of this film.
Yeah, it was nothing but a pleasure from start to finish. There was no agitation, there's no cruelty in the script, as you said yourself. It's a very sweet story. It does look in areas of life as experienced through both of our characters that are uncomfortable and awkward and touch on loss and grief and guilt and regret and those things, but it does it in such a light fashion that it was really refreshing, really. And I'd come from Penguin, which was kind of wonderful, but dark and heavy and stuff. And so it was a big gulp of fresh air, for sure.
And I read that both of you went on car rides to bond with each other and create that chemistry. So what was that whole process of getting to know one another?
We were
like?
well bonded by then.
Yeah.
As far as the first time I met Margot, it was not the first time, but the first time we met for this it was just really easy. It didn't feel like there needed to be a period of getting to know each other for me or anything. It was just, she was incredibly familiar to me for whatever reason. Those things happen in life sometimes. And the car ride stuff was, again, just another joy. It's all a bit tedious and sick, really, and annoying because it was so easy and it was so lovely. And
But it was good because when you're driving, you can't be, sometimes when you're rehearsing and it's all about the script and it's this and this and this. But when you're kind of driving and you're kind of improving the lines as you remember them, but it was a little more about connecting but not being so locked in.
Yeah.
It was just an interesting, I
And
don't know,
there's loads of
as an
improv.
acting exercise,
I don't know
it was
if you could call it improv or just chats.
Just chats. Well,
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
I'd say a line and you'd be like, is this in the script or are you asking me?
Yeah.
Like I was like, Colin, I was like, why are you single? Which is a line in the movie. And then he pretty much gave the exact line from the movie back. And I was like, I think we're doing the scene.
Você achou muito formal?
Os lugares mais lindos fazem a gente se sentir tão sozinho.
Até que você imitou direitinho.
And it also had the added benefit of, we could stop for drive-through burgers whenever we wanted. So
It was very playful.
It's my favorite way of rehearsing is in a car.
Yeah, McDonald's drive-through. It was very playful, the whole experience, man. And the driving was part of that. It was about 3 days we spent in a space with the scripts talking. And then when we got into the cars, we just drove around LA. As Margot said, went to drive-throughs and started going through the scenes a little bit. And Cole Granada was in the back of the car. Margot was in the passenger seat and she let me drive. And that was it. We just went around town. It was beautiful. It was all very organic. And I don't feel that we ever arrived at any particular answers of certainty, which is fine by me.
Yeah.
We just kind of wanted to get a feel for the dynamic between the two characters and what was possible and what the tonal experience was, the energy between the two of them at various stages in the story, because they only have each other to relate to most of the time. We had only each other to relate to, so it was important to see how the music of their individual journeys and also their journey as two people in a car on the road on this extraordinary adventure was.
And the movie itself is playful, and it is in many ways a little bit about therapy and a little bit about acting and the power that acting exercises can do. It can do a world of good for mental health. So how much did you resonate with that as actors yourselves?
It's funny you should say that. I had a friend who's no longer with us, who was my first acting coach in Dublin when I was 16 or so. Conal Carney was his name. And Conal bought a barge. In Ireland, there's a canal system, as there is in many countries. There's a very extensive venous canal system through the whole country, and people live on barges. And Conal lived on this barge on the canal, and he went from town to town around Ireland. And he had, on the barge, it was a small barge, 1 bedroom, stove downstairs and a little kitchenette. On the barge, the top of it was flat. And he had 30 foldable chairs in the barge, and he would take them out, pull up on a dock, put the chairs out, and he would talk to all the parents of that town, that village, and they would bring their kids and they would work on a theatre piece for a week. And his whole thing was, it came from a mental health perspective to give children, particularly and young teens, the opportunity to express or contextualize or understand or question their emotions through the artifice of theatre and storytelling, which can then become a truer reality than we're permitted to inhabit in our day-to-day lives oftentimes. So yeah, that was, anyway, there's
Which
that.
is also an idea in the movie. I mean, they kind of, there's a meta moment where Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character is saying, like, sometimes we can't find the truth unless we perform. And so in that way, both in the movie and in what we do as our jobs, it definitely is a form of therapy.